There is deep outrage across the nation over the decision of the International Criminal Court prosecutor to seek arrest warrants for Netanyahu, Gallant, and 3 Hamas leaders. Israel and U.S. leaders denounced the move as outrageous. More from ILTV's Steve Leibowitz.
There was cross-the-board condemnation throughout Israel on the move by the ICC prosecutors seeking arrest warrants for Netanyahu, Defense Minister Gallant, and 3 Hamas leaders. The president, prime minister, and opposition all said the decision was outrageous.
The announcement of the prosecutor of the ICC is beyond outrageous and shows the extent to which the international judicial system is in danger of collapse. Taken in bad faith, this one-sided move represents a unilateral political step that emboldens terrorists around the world and violates all the basic rules of the court according to the principles of international law, complementarity, and other legal norms.
התובע בהאג, באיזה חוצפה אתה מעז להשוות בין מפלצות החמאס לבין חיילי צה"ל, הצבא המוסרי ביותר בעולם? באיזה חוצפה אתה משווה בין החמאס שרצח ושרף וביטר וערף ואנס וחטף את אחינו ואחיותינו, לבין חיילי צה"ל שנלחמים מלחמה צודקת שאין כמוה במוסריות שאין דומה לה?
זה אסון. זה אסון מדיני, זה אסון ערכי. לא יכול להיות שאומרים שמוציאים צווי מעצר נגד נתניהו, יחיא סינואר, הנייה ומוחמד דף, אחרי שטבחו בנו ובילדינו ב7 באוקטובר. אין השוואה כזאת, אנחנו לא מקבל אותה ולא יכולים לקבל אותה. זה בלתי נסלח.
U.S. President Biden termed the ICC indictments outrageous. Whatever this prosecutor might imply, said Biden, there is no equivalence between Israel and Hamas, adding, the U.S. will always stand with Israel against threats to its security. Israel is not a member of the court, and even if the arrest warrants are issued, Netanyahu and Gallant do not face any immediate risk of prosecution. But Khan's announcement deepens Israel's isolation as it presses ahead with its war in Gaza, and the threat of arrest could complicate Israeli leaders' travel abroad.
Israel bonds, the heartbeat of solidarity, the powerhouse of support. When the Hamas-Israel war hit, Israel bonds stood tall, proving we're more than just an investment, we're a lifeline. Investing in Israel bonds isn't just a financial move, it's a declaration for resilience, strength, and a better future for Israel. Join us and let solidarity echo through generations.
Joining us now is Anne Hertzberg, legal advisor for NGO Monitor. Hello, Anne, and thank you for joining.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
And the ICC prosecutor made an announcement that he would issue arrest warrants to Israeli leaders, Prime Minister Netanyahu and Defense Minister Gallant, as well as Hamas leaders. Israel and the world found out about this on CNN rather than through official channels. What does this show us?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite ridiculous. It's clear this was an orchestrated political stunt by the court. From what we've learned from reports from the U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, members of the court were actually supposed to fly to Israel yesterday to meet with Israeli officials to discuss the cases. And instead, they did not board the plane, and Karim Khan appeared on CNN announcing the filing for these arrest warrants. And then we hear a lot about this expert panel that we had not heard about before, and that Amal Clooney was involved. So clearly this was something they had been planning for quite some time and wanted to get the maximum PR effort, exposure out of it.
So now let's talk about what's next. If these arrest warrants are issued, firstly, the ICC does not have jurisdiction in Israel, and there's also the principle of complementarity. Can you explain about these two elements?
Sure. So Israel does not accept the jurisdiction of the court. It never became a member of the court. But about 3 years ago, the prosecutor asked the court to authorize the ability to open an investigation in the situation in Palestine, even though the Palestinians are not a state. And in a 2-to-1 controversial decision, the court went ahead and did that. And so they have been conducting an investigation since then. So they are claiming that because the supposed state of Palestine is a territory under which they have jurisdiction, any nationals that commit supposed crimes on that territory can be tried by the courts. So that is what their purported argument is, to go after Israelis. The other key principle of the court is one of complementarity. So the court is not supposed to engage in cases where the state at issue is it's only if that state is unwilling or unable to carry out investigations. And that's clearly not the case in Israel, where there is a very robust investigatory mechanism. We have a strong judicial system, and there are means in which to investigate these issues. And in fact, the one issue that they appear to be focusing on Netanyahu and Gallant for, this claim of starvation, right now the Israeli Supreme Court is looking into the issue of humanitarian aid. So it appears that in this matter also, Karim Khan has violated or ignored fundamental parts of the statute of the court.
And we're hearing Biden, as well as other world leaders, express disappointment in these warrants and support for Israel. How might these reactions from the U.S. and countries like Great Britain, Czech Republic, and Austria, how might they impact the ICC's proceedings?
Well, the ICC is an independent body. Now, Karim Khan was elected as prosecutor because he was thought to be much more sober and responsible politically, in contrast to his predecessors. But moving forward with this, that does not seem to be the case. So although these countries have registered very strong objections, I do not think it will stop what is going on at the court. However, it is highly likely that the United States Congress will place sanctions on Mr. Khan as well as other officials at the court. And I doubt that European countries will do that, but perhaps they will not agree to cooperate with the court in this matter.
Ann Hertzberg, thank you very much.
Sure.
A historic majority of the Knesset signed a statement condemning the International Criminal Court's announcement of arrest warrants for Prime Minister Netanyahu and Defense Minister Gallant and top Hamas leaders as well. The ICC charges include crimes against humanity. Like our leaders, many Israelis echo sentiments of anger, disbelief, concern, and frustration, feeling that the actions of their leaders are being unjustly criminalized. Israelis woke up today to the shocking news that the International Criminal Court requested to issue arrest warrants for their prime minister, as well as their defense minister. The ICC's unprecedented move has sparked a wave of reactions across Israel.
I think it's a disgrace. I mean, the hypocrisy of the court in Hague. The fact, first of all, these warrants are against the Israelis, not just against the prime minister and against the defense Israeli minister. It's against us, the Israelis.
It's going to happen or not. I'm shocked to read the headlines. But Israel's always held to a much higher standard than any other country in the world. In fact, Israel sets the standard for how to fight an ethical war.
Along with Israel's top leaders, the ICC prosecutor said he would issue arrest warrants for Hamas's top leaders, Yehi Sinwar, Ismail Haniyeh, and Mohammed Deif. Many Israelis strongly reject this ICC comparison of Israel's state leaders to Hamas terrorists, with strong concerns voiced about the political motivations behind the ICC's decision.
It's weird that it happened at the same time and that Sinwar and Deif didn't appear much earlier after October 7th, considering that we knew what was going on. They were openly said what was happening, and yet that both sides got the same arrest warrants at the same time seems more politics than anything else.
Israelis insist that their leaders' actions are legitimate measures of self-defense rather than crimes, with many feeling that Israel is being unfairly targeted, to say the least. And while Israel's war on the ground against Hamas continues, millions across the world continue to fight the PR war. With misinformation overtaking the media, American Friends of Sheba brought a delegation of influencers over to Israel to see the truth and bring it back to their social networks. ILTV's Ariella Lachiani has more.
The collaboration between American Friends of Sheba and 2024 New Voices is a testament to the enduring spirit of Israeli resilience and innovation, inspiring a deep connection between American values and Israel's unwavering commitment to hope and progress. Since October 7th, American Friends of Sheba Medical Center has brought more than 150 volunteers to the country and raised more than $35 million to support the work of Sheba, Israel's largest hospital.
My directive to my team was very clear. Whoever is free and has the time and has the capacity, physically and mentally, join me. We are moving forward. We have to move forward. That's our role here in this very crazy times.
This partnership with 2024 New Voices harnesses the power of celebrities and influencers to amplify Sheba's message of hope without boundaries. Spearheaded by Samantha Ettis, this movement has seen luminaries like Cindy Crawford, Kathy Ireland, Connie Britton, and NBA star Zach Randolph join forces to speak out against anti-Semitism and promote unity on social media.
For me, it's a dream come true to witness not just the horrors of October 7th, but also to be able to show people the beauty of Israel. And it was really meaningful to have a number of our influencers and celebrities who are not Jewish. So we mixed Jewish and non-Jewish people, some who'd been to Israel before, some who've never been here, and giving them the full 360-degree view of Israel. So it's beauty, it's sadness, it's collective pain, all of it, and bearing witness to that, and then bringing those stories back to their audiences.
During a visit to Sheba this month, these influencers experienced firsthand the remarkable ethos of Sheba Medical Center. They marveled at the returning to life unit within the rehabilitation hospital, where patients defy odds daily, reclaiming their lives with determination. At Safra Pediatric Hospital, they were touched by the resilience of young patients and the unwavering dedication of Sheba's staff. The ARC Innovation Center further showcased Israeli ingenuity, highlighting groundbreaking medical advancements that are changing lives worldwide.
ARC is the innovation arm of Sheba. What happened on October 7th, we knew we had to act. So by doing that, we're actually establishing a new startup company that will be part of Sheba, that we will be able to provide care not only locally in Israel, but worldwide, and really make a global impact, which is the ARC mission.
Through this collaboration, the bond between American advocates and Israeli perseverance has been fortified, spreading a message of solidarity and resilience. As influencers share their experiences and voices with millions, they can inspire others to stand against hatred and embrace the enduring spirit of hope that defines both nations.
Anybody, and that's what I say to people on Instagram, Facebook that have been giving me criticism. I ask them, have you been to Israel? No. Well, how do you know? At least I took the chance. I came over here to review everything, and I've got a very open mind, and I'm glad I did. And I think everybody should come and see for yourselves. Just come and see.
It was incredibly important for me to come bear witness. All four of my grandparents are Holocaust survivors. The denial to this day is terrifying. And we're seeing it again now with October 7th, the denial, the misinformation, the gaslighting. And we have an obligation to share the truth.
The IDF advances in Rafah, securing half of the Philadelphia corridor along the Egyptian border.
Defense officials say that some 950,000 Gazans have evacuated from Rafah to designated safe zones as instructed by the Army, surpassing expectations in a positive way, including neighborhoods not required to do so. That means that the vast majority of those sheltering in Rafah before the start of the operation have now moved to designated safe zones. About 2 weeks after the start of the Rafah operation, forces from the Commando Brigade began operating in the Brazil neighborhood on the outskirts of the city, the westernmost point reached so far by IDF forces. The Army says that the Rafah operation will continue for weeks. Defense Minister Gallant assured visiting U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan that the operation will continue slowly and deliberately due to the operation's complexity and sensitivities with the United States and Egypt. Meanwhile, the IDF revealed that the bodies of the 4 Israeli hostages recovered from the Gaza Strip last week were found in a Hamas tunnel in Jabalia. The IDF had not reached that tunnel during the initial ground operation in Jabalia, which had served as a command center for the terror group amid the fighting. The bodies of Ron Binyamin, Itzhak Gellerenter, Amit Buskila, and Shani Luke were found hidden inside the tunnel, and the area surrounding it was guarded by Hamas, according to the Army. In an alley close to the tunnel shaft, terror operatives had planted a large explosive device, which was disarmed by troops. There were several clashes above ground as troops pushed into the area, And in one incident, Major General Sheba, age 24, a company commander in the paratroopers, was fatally wounded. There was no fighting in the tunnel itself. Their bodies were retrieved and returned to Israel.
And in the West Bank, the Palestinian Authority Health Ministry is reporting that 7 are dead and at least 9 more wounded as fighting between the IDF and terrorists in Jenin continues. The IDF has been cracking down on activity in areas A and B as well. The Army said it shot several gunmen in Jenin. ILTV's Steve Leibowitz joins us now, along with David Mark, the managing editor of the Washington Examiner magazine and a Beltway insider. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
David, we heard Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik stand up in the Knesset, Israel's parliament, yesterday and sharply criticize President Biden's policies on the Gaza war. Now, President Biden has supported the Israeli war effort since day one. Why this partisan divide all of a sudden?
Well, Congresswoman Stefanik was taking aim specifically at what seemed like a temporary decision by the Biden administration to withhold some ammunition, specifically the 2,000-pound bomb. Now, that only lasted for a short time, and I think they've still gone on sale to the Israeli government, to the Israeli military, but it really is a way for Congresswoman Stefanik to raise her own profile. It's pretty unusual to actually go to a foreign parliament, a foreign government, and criticize the president. There used to be a saying in American politics and government that politics stops at the water's edge, meaning we can have our fights over domestic policy, but when it comes to foreign affairs, we want to have a unified presentation to the government. That is long gone, but she is also somebody who fancies herself a potential presidential candidate in the future. She's angling to be Donald Trump's running mate, vice presidential pick, so she certainly got her name out there.
David, Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor, is in Israel, was just left. It's a crucial juncture. He came with basically a proposal on the table for normalization between Israel and Saudi Arabia if we go along with an eventual Palestinian state. How long is that offer going to be out there?
It'd be interesting to see what actually gets presented publicly. Supposedly, they're going over the final details and figuring what's actually in there. I can't imagine that the shelf life of it would be particularly long, particularly if Israel is not that enthusiastic about it, which you can understand why they might not be at this point. It's kind of like a three-way trade in baseball where you have 3 different moving parts and each one has to agree to it. Israel, at this point, I don't have to tell anybody in this audience, is probably not really enthusiastic about the idea of a Palestinian state. At this point, it's like, let's get this war finished, take care of Hamas and Gaza, and then we can figure out what's going on. Even if a day after plan is needed, that is a grand geopolitical compromise and to bring Saudi Arabia in, because it also involves a defense pact between the United States and Saudi Arabia as a buttress against Iran. That is a huge shift in American foreign policy. It's not clear that would have a whole lot of support in the U.S. Congress, which would still have to ratify it.
Now, what are the differences between policy between Republicans and Democratic leaders when it comes to U.S. support for Israel?
Both sides are broadly speaking supportive of Israel, to be fair about it. Generally, Republicans are more vocal, almost uniformly supportive of Israel. There are a few outliers there. On the Democratic side, I'd say about 2/3 of Democrats in Congress, the House and Senate, are vocally supportive of Israel. But there is another, I won't even call it a fringe because it's more than that, some of the harshest critics of Israel, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a congresswoman from New York, or the most virulent one, Rashida Tlaib, who represents a big Arab American community in Detroit. She's a Palestinian descent, Palestinian American congresswoman. She is probably the harshest critic of Israel.
Thank you very much, David, for coming in and for this input.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Israel, known as the startup nation, has always been a hub for innovation. The country's expertise in food technology has garnered international acclaim in a new report published today. ILTV's Rachel Safdie has more details.
A first-of-its-kind report was published today by the Israel Innovation Authority and the World Economic Forum, highlighting Israel's pioneering approach to food tech innovation and alternative protein technologies. With an increasing global demand for protein sources due to population growth, climate change, and resource scarcity, the alternative protein sector is a strategic and needed solution. And Israel is especially strong in this area. In 2023, Israel saw a record high of 15 new alternative protein startups, joining over 80 active startups in this sector and over 200 startups in food technologies. Moreover, Israel's alternative protein sector ranks second globally in private investment, reflecting nearly 10% of total global investments in the field, trailing only the United States. The report predicts that by 2030, Israel's alternative protein sector could see over 200 companies and a dozen manufacturing facilities established, which will create 10,000 jobs and contribute $2.5 billion to the economy through exports, wages, and taxes. Dror Bin, the chief executive officer of Israel Innovation Authority, said, Israel's proactive approach to fostering innovation in alternative proteins reflects our commitment to shaping a sustainable future for generations to come. Positioned to drive sustainable and efficient solutions, Israel is poised to redefine the global landscape of alternative protein technology and make an impactful change for a more resilient food future. This is yet another milestone of the startup nation's success in finding solutions to global problems.
1 month after Iran's missile assault on Israel, and the impressive defense system Arrow 3 is now in very high demand, as multiple countries have reportedly tried striking deals with Israel's aerospace industries. ILTV's Devo Klein has the details.
In mid-April, Iran launched a massive fleet of over 100 ballistic long-range missiles from within Iranian territory toward Israel. With the addition of 170 drones and 30 cruise missiles, Israel's Arrow 3 defense system was responsible for intercepting an impressive 99% of the projectiles. The Israeli aerial defense system is one of the most advanced in the world, as it features the Iron Dome for short-range rockets and mortars, David Sling, which defends mid-range missiles, and the Arrow 3, an advanced aerial system that specializes in knocking out missiles while they are still outside Earth's atmosphere. Following the Iranian attack, a number of countries are now interested in purchasing the technology, according to the developer's chief executive. Israel Aerospace Industries CEO and Arrow 3 main contractor Boaz Levy could not disclose which countries have approached him due to confidentiality in the early stages of talks. Levy said he was optimistic that there will be more deals for the Arrow system after the, quote, very special demonstration they did. The Arrow 3 system is co-produced by the U.S. with Boeing. Sales are likely to also help bolster U.S.-Israel relations when deals for the defense system are finalized. Sales for the Arrow 3 defense system will follow Israel's largest arms sale when the system was sold to Germany for a whopping sum of 3.5 billion euros. The deal with Germany reportedly came after Russia's attack on Ukraine, as neighboring European countries seek to buff up security. Iran's attack has prompted the IAI to boost both the production of the current Arrow systems and also the development of its next generation, the Arrow 4, which is set to replace the Arrow 2.
Let's take a look at the weather forecast. Mostly clear skies are expected tonight around the country, with temperatures reaching lows of around 19 degrees Celsius or 66 degrees Fahrenheit. Then tomorrow, we should be seeing sunny skies and warm temperatures around the country, reaching highs of 33 degrees Celsius or 91 degrees Fahrenheit. That's all for today's news. For more updates from Israel on all your devices, check out our ILTV channel, subscribe to our ILTV newsletter, and don't forget to check out our new and improved website, ILTV.tv, with all the latest news from the heart of the State of Israel. I'm Sivan Raviv. Be well, stay safe, and thank you so much for watching.